They're known for having a great front seven. When you ask opposing coaches about the Niners defense, they always start with the front seven. But it seems like for the first time in a long time, the secondary is equaling or even better than the front seven. What do you think? Do the Niners have the best secondary in the league?
I think there's no question. Me personally, I think the secondary might be the strongest unit on the whole team, offense, defense, everything. I think they're better than the D line and the linebackers. They're so deep and they're so good. I mean, Talanoa Hufanga, he's leading the team with 17 solo tackles. He has an interception. He caused an interception. He's on the way to, like, if he continues at this trajectory, that's a Pro Bowl player. And then another guy who's highly underrated is Tashawn Gibson. He actually has the best defensive passer rating on the team with 0. So whenever a quarterback trying to throw against Tashawn Gibson, he has 0 completions against him. And he doesn't get talked about as much as he should right now. He's doing an amazing job. And then, Charvarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley, doing an amazing job at corner. You really can't ask for better corners. And then, of course, you got Sam Womack and Yamador Lenore battling it out at the nickel spot, which honestly, I don't know who's better, but I prefer Sam Womack, especially against Cooper Kupp. And I think we'll talk about that more later. But those guys are doing great. And then you just think about it, you got Jimmy Ward and Jason Barrette still coming back.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a deeper defensive back unit in the NFL or more talented. I really think they're the best defensive back unit in the league.
Yeah, it creeped up on me, but I want to be negative just for the sake of it. The one spot that I have questions with is the nickel spot. And they do have 2 young promising guys who both of them might be good, but they're unproven, and they're going to face Cooper Kupp this week, and they're going to have a big test. And if the Niners lose, it's going to be because that nickel spot isn't good enough in this game. Because we all know the only way the Rams win is if Cooper Kupp goes off every week. That's their team. So one weakness, I don't know if it's a weakness. We don't even know if it's a weakness. I like Sam Womack. And then they benched him for Deommodore Lenoir, who I have questions about. I mean, he'll have a good game, but then he'll commit the penalty. He's a penalty machine. He's got 5 in his young career. So I don't know. I have questions, but if Jason Barrette can come back and play nickel, that'd be cool. That'd be pretty cool. Or Emmanuel Mosley could do it. I think they have options if Barrette comes back. And he's going to start practicing, what? Did they say he's supposed to start practicing this week? I didn't see him practicing yesterday.
After this game, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so after this game. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if it's confirmed, but I know I've heard that. They did say that actually.
Well, I'll look today and see if he's out there. Jimmy Ward too. I was focused on the quarterbacks yesterday. I'll look to see if they're out there.
Yeah, another question that pops up in my head, and you tell me. So, what your opinion is? Jimmy Ward and Jason Barrette comes back. What happens to the defense at that point? I mean, it's interesting because Tashawn Gibson has played almost perfect, but I think Jimmy Ward has established himself as a leader on this team. He's a captain, so I'm pretty sure he's going to take Tashawn's spot regardless. But Jason Barrette, how's that going to play into it? What are your thoughts on those guys if they come back?
Well, let's take Jason Barrette and Jimmy Ward separately because I'm not sure they're on the same timeline. Jimmy Ward probably should come back quicker. And with him, I think it's interesting. I mean, there's so many things you can do with him that you don't do with Gibson, like all the man coverage stuff on tight ends that you don't do with other safeties. Maybe D'Amico starts using three safety packages, and they start doing more because they did that last year when they had Tart and Talano and stuff. Just can make the defense even more diverse. And so, yeah, there's that. Barrette, though, that's interesting. If Barrette comes back and he's healthy, which it seems like a lot to expect, then he's your best player. But let's be honest. Okay, so he's been gone for a year. He's not in football shape. That's the word of the week, right? Football shape. Even if he's 100% healthy, he's not going to be in football shape. So I think you got to slowly kind of gradually build him up for the playoffs. So at first, if he comes back, it's for a few plays. Maybe he could eventually become the nickel and play half the game. That might be an interesting way to get him into football shape and have him be the nickel. I don't know. It'd be interesting. But yeah, that's a wild card.
Yeah, you almost want with Jason Barrette because of his history and because, just in general, the nature of the position, people get hurt. You almost kind of want to just leave him there if something happens and then slowly build him up and put him in for when it really matters. If the Niners are winning and they're on their way to the playoffs, just baby him. And he could be huge for the 49ers in the postseason. Another question I have for you, Grant, in regards to the defensive back unit is you got Emmanuel Mosley, who's going to need a new contract this year. Are they going to give one to Jimmy Ward, or are they going to give one to Emmanuel Mosley? Because it seems like it's going to be tough to do both.
I'm not sure they'll give it to either one. I mean, they're giving out extensions right now, right? They gave one to Wisnowski. They gave one to Drake Greenlaw. These guys are sort of lame ducks. And the Niners are like, well, I mean, in Jimmy's case, he's a soon-to-be 31-year-old DB coming off a very serious hamstring injury. So I don't think his career's over. Someone will pay him, but the Niners might not. And then with Mosley, former undrafted free agent, like, what are they waiting for? Me, I would have extended him before Drake Greenlaw. I think he's more important to the team than Drake Greenlaw, but they might disagree. And maybe they feel Jason Barrette can replace him next year, or maybe they feel Ambry Thomas can replace him, which is kind of scary. But they've kind of been right with their DB evaluations the last couple of years, so I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt on this one. But yeah, I'm not sure that either one comes back. I'm not sure.
If I'm the GM, I'm prioritizing, and I love Jimmy Ward, I really do. But it's
Mosley's
just
25. Yeah.
From the business standpoint,
yeah,
the cornerbacks like Emmanuel Mosley are hard to find, in my opinion. And Jimmy Ward's, he's older. I'm prioritizing Emmanuel Mosley. It'd be great if you can get both, but I don't know if you can. And hopefully they get one.
If you let Mosley go, to me, that's like letting DJ Reed go. It's a mistake, and it's not easy to find good corners. It's really not. Look at the history of your franchise. You can go through some serious droughts. So just consider yourself fortunate that you found this guy and keep him. Yeah. I think he's important. But let's see. Hold on. Let's see him get through the season first, though. Maybe that's what they're looking at, because he has missed time every year. So maybe they're thinking, you play 17 games, we got you. But
could you imagine locking down Charvarius Ward and Emmanuel Mosley? Like, if you can lock those guys down for several years, you have a position just sewed up, assuming they all still stay healthy. But then you got Sam Womack off the bench. You got Diamador Lenore. Like, this is a really good defensive back unit. And I think if they lock in Emmanuel Mosley, they can really seal this off and make it a non-issue for years to come.
And what's interesting is they did this without spending a first-round pick on a corner, which is hard to do. I guess the Niners feel like that's a high bust rate, taking corners that high. And it is true. There is a high bust rate. So maybe they feel like, let's just evaluate dudes in the league and acquire them that way. And just draft a bunch of guys on, day 3? I mean, Emmanuel Mosley was undrafted. Ward was undrafted, but they got him in free agency. So it seems like a good strategy.
Yeah.
It seems to work.
I think
put him behind a great pass rush in front 7. That helps too.
It helps a lot. Yeah, that definitely helps a lot. And I think Glory's right here. And I think this week, this game against the Rams, it's going to be the test. Yeah.
It's going to be a big test.
So we'll know what we have, I think.
But even this week, to me, isn't as big of a test as they're going to face down the line, because they don't have Beckham anymore. Like, there are teams that are going to have multiple weapons, home run threats, and then we'll see. This week is all about stopping one guy. And I think that's almost more on the coach than on the players. Like, there should be all kind of special coverages to take away one guy. We'll talk about it. Brian says, is Ambry Thomas still a thing? LOL. I see him in the locker room, so he's still on the team. So I don't know if he's a person. I don't know if he's a thing. Official B&A Music 88 says, Kyle getting snarky with me and not Jimmy. That's so funny. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, you really caused a shitstorm this week, Brooks. That's the best. Irfan says, which offensive player is the biggest game versus LA? JP
on the 49ers, which has the biggest offensive play. I think it's got to be
Debo.
It's got to be Debo, or I'm hoping
Wilson, Mason.
I'm hoping freaking Kittle shows up.
Oh wow, I vaguely remember him. 85.
Yeah, number 85.
85. Yeah, he was great back in the day.